Hi, I'm Dee from higherlove.net, and today I'm going to talk about Easter. Sort of. It's going to be my first starting point, and then I'll go where I'm supposed to go. So today is Easter, and I think a lot of times when I do these videos, my biggest challenge is getting out of my own way and letting things just flow through me. It's really important to silence yourself, silence your mind, silence your immediate environment. Obviously, this happens when you meditate, if you are into meditation. But even without the stereotypical, socially accepted picture of meditation, even if you don't look like that, silence is really important. And however you get that, silence and stillness, it's really just the beginning of the rest of your life. It's all there in the silence and stillness. And I'm so used to feeling like I need to have something prepared, especially if I'm recording a video and putting it on YouTube and people are going to watch it. I feel like it's my obligation to prepare exactly what I'm going to say. And some videos I do have to write out all that I'm going to say to make sure I don't miss something. But I think when you plan out everything so strictly, you're blocking a very natural flow. I don't think it's natural to plan at all, actually. I don't like blaming systems or people, because blame is a never-ending cycle. But just for the sake of understanding, when you are born, your first few years, you kind of just, your days are spent, like you wake up in the morning and your only obligation is to eat. And I'm sure your parents take care of that. And the rest of the day, you're kind of left to your own devices, unless, of course, there's a family obligation or specific plans you have. But just in general, when you're a child, your day is free for you. And you just kind of move on your whims. And when you want to run over here, you do. And when you want to roll on the floor, you just do. And when you have a temper tantrum, you have it. You cry and scream and stomp your feet, and then eventually, if you've ever been around kids, like, they will cry themselves completely out. They will go through every emotion and just really let it flow through them. And then if you give them enough time to do that, they kind of get bored of it and it's all released, and then they keep moving. But it's all very spontaneous. A child doesn't sit down and write down what they're going to do at what time. And then when you start going to school, you have to wake up at a specific time to get to school. So there's a structure that's introduced. It's a waking up, eating breakfast, going to school, classes are blocked one right after the other, recess is at a specific time, homework is at a specific time. My incense is like a special guest that always shows up whenever it wants to. Yeah, so things become very structured, and you come home at the same time every day from school, and then you do your homework at a specific time, eat dinner at a specific time, you have like family time, and not every day is so black and white, but for the most part, the majority of your life after age 5 is highly structured. And then in summertime, it's like, wee, it's freedom, But even in that freedom of summertime, there's, you plan specific days to go to the water park, or this day you're going to go to the zoo at this time with these people, or you plan a sleepover with your friend for Friday night at 8 o'clock, and you go pick out the movies you're going to watch, or if you're planning a holiday or vacation, you plan it months and months ahead of time, you save up for it. It basically, you always know what's going to happen, and you spend a lot of your present time, planning the future. And I am just now at 24 years old, just beginning to release that. You think that planning, there's security in that. But I think that that's the most dangerous thing you could do. Because you don't know anything. You know kind of what your preferences are. But what if they change in a year? You can have like a vague idea that you maybe want a car in the next few months, hopefully. But to hold on to that idea and not allow for new goals to rise up, new intentions to take place. I feel like every single day I wake up lately, I've been checking back in and going, well, how do I feel about that now? That's how I felt about it yesterday. But how do I feel about it right now? I think people get so caught up in like maybe a dream, let's say like they had a dream job when they were younger. Like they had their heart set on being a journalist. And, they told all their family, all their friends over all the years. They took those classes in high school that they knew would get them into a journalism program. Then they applied and got accepted into a good journalism school. And they bought the sweatshirt that said, I'm a journalist, or, whatever. And they studied it for 4 years and then went out and got a job. And it's like this momentum carried them forward. But then what you see so often happening is people get into their careers and they suddenly, or what appears to be suddenly, throw their hands up and go, wait a minute, how did this happen? Like, how did I get here? This can happen with marriages too. You're dating somebody and like you have so much in common, and then you meet each other's family, and then you spend every day together, and suddenly it's just like, why don't we get married? It's just kind of a momentum that you allow forward. And you take for granted that you think you're always going to feel the same way about what you're doing and who your friends are and where you live. And I think it's very important to check in with yourself constantly and reassess, how do I actually feel about this person? Not how did I feel about them yesterday, but how do I feel about them today? And allow yourself to change your mind with your life purpose, with your living situation, with the foods that you eat, with the philosophies that you choose to hold. I think that's the only way to live with integrity and in alignment. And I'm not saying never plan. I really enjoy structure to a certain extent when it's appropriate. But see, even here, this video, I hit record thinking I was going to talk about Easter, and it's been like 11 minutes, and I haven't talked about Easter at all. But when I started speaking, I could feel that something was wanting to come out of me. And instead of stopping it and going, no, I'll save that for another video. Today, I'm talking about Easter. Like, why? Why hold yourself to something you thought 10 minutes ago? You don't ever owe anything to your past self, because they don't exist anymore. So they're not real. The only version of you that exists and is real is the one that's existing right now. You could make a decision that you want to be with someone for the rest of your life today, and then wake up tomorrow and feel differently. Well, with a soulmate. With a non-twin flame, you can do that. You can decide that you're going to move to Portland and have saved up all the money in your bank account, gave your 2 weeks notice at your job, packed up all your things, got yourself off of your current lease, and then the day before you're supposed to get in your car and go, have this feeling come over you, or you hear a certain song on the radio, or you run into somebody and they say something, and you just kind of go, I don't want to move to Portland anymore. Now what should you do? You did all of these things, and it created a forward momentum, but then you change your mind. What do you think you should do? Do you think you should let the forward momentum just keep pushing you? Until when? Until what point? Like, how much time do you want to just be pushed along by the momentum of your past self? You can't possibly be in alignment with yourself unless you're fully present. That's the only place to find clarity, is now. I got caught in this trap over and over and over again. It's probably exactly why I'm talking about it right now. When it came to school, in high school, I got straight A's. I was in all the honors classes. I did everything. All the after-school activities that I was interested in. All the teachers I interacted with really enjoyed me and wrote me wrote like wonderful recommendations for me to go to college. I applied to 4 colleges, you know, with my beautiful ACT score. Got accepted in everywhere I applied. Accepted my admittance to my dream school, which is University of Minnesota, Twin Cities. Moved up there. Had so many scholarships. I'm telling you, like, it was like I was the golden child and everything was just playing out perfectly, how I always knew it would. Because University of Minnesota was my dream school for 6 or 7 years. And Minneapolis was my dream city for like 10 years. And I finally got up there. And I really thought I loved it. And I think I did. But it wasn't... Something was off. I only stayed there for a semester and I moved back home. Dropping out of college, first of all, is something I never in a million years thought I would do. That's not what someone who gets straight A's and is incredibly book smart and has like tons of scholarships. That's not what someone like that does, right? And it took me, you know, I dropped out when I was 19, 20, doesn't matter. And then I tried to go to 2 different schools after that and dropped out again and again. And it really took a huge toll on my self-esteem and my self-worth. Because that was the plan. That was the plan. And I'm just finally starting to come to an understanding of the only possible way to be truly happy. And it's to not stick to the plan. Unless every single day you wake up and that plan still feels 100% good and you are 100% happy with it. I don't believe that you put in a few years of not feeling good so that you can get a career that will eventually make you feel good. I don't think it works that way. I don't think you have to put in your time of being unhappy to achieve something that'll make you happy. I think if it's not making you happy every step of the way, it can't possibly lead to happiness. I think the path to joy is joyful. And I also think life is supposed to be easy. Coming back around to the Easter thing. Pretty sure I'm gonna label this Easter reading. Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to be misleading with my titles, but I also don't really know how to best encompass all that I say with the title, you know? Everyone who's meant to hear the words that I'm saying will find their way to this video no matter what the title is. So I guess it's not the most crucial thing. But I had this idea that I would do an Easter reading and talk about the importance of Easter. And I'm going to. I pulled 2 cards this morning for today. Holiday. Pretty straightforward and self-explanatory. Today is a holiday. and see only love. And when these two cards came out, I just stared at them, and I realized what today means. The importance of Easter. I have never read the Bible. I was not raised under any type of religion. My mom never talked about God at all, not negatively or positively. She just didn't. She left it up to me to find for myself. The only times I've ever been to churches have been like you go with your family and just kind of sit, or a funeral or a wedding. I have gone a few times of my own accord, but I haven't found a church that really suits me, and I don't think I need to, and that is because God is everywhere in everything. And this is why Easter is important. The reason I mentioned that I haven't read the Bible and I have no real religious undertones or upbringing at all is because I can't tell you the story of Jesus Christ. I can't tell you facts or dates, or I have no idea what happened to him. I know that he spread the word of God, and I know that he was crucified for it, and then came back and showed himself to some people. But I don't know anything else. I don't know names of people. I don't know scenes of stories. I don't know anything but that. And I don't really care to. My mom right now is watching a show about the story of Jesus. I know a lot of people really care about the story. I don't. And it's not because I don't love God, and it's not because I don't appreciate what Jesus did. But it's because I feel like what I'm about to say is kind of controversial, but it's really not in truth. It doesn't matter. The stories in the Bible don't matter. Churches don't matter. The fact that someone can quote the Bible doesn't matter. Just like you need to remain fully present with yourself every second of every day of your life in order to stay in alignment and continuously do what's best for you because you're an ever-evolving soul. Well, so is God. God is not stagnant. He didn't put himself in the Bible and limit himself to just what's between those two covers. God doesn't just hang out in churches. You don't need to know the stories of what happened to know God. You don't need to claim Jesus as your Savior to be in God's good graces. You don't need to do anything specific to become enlightened or to be in alignment with love. That's what I felt in my heart and in my soul when I pulled these two cards. Easter is a holiday to see only love. But that doesn't happen because love is only in the Bible. People find comfort and love by reading the Bible. Some people find comfort and love by listening to music. Some people find love by reading. Some people find love by going on a hike. Some people find love by getting groceries. Because love is everywhere. And love is all there is. And God is love. And love is ever present. I always wondered why I didn't feel the need to finish college and why I didn't end up pursuing a degree. I thought I wanted to study everything because I'm such a seeker of knowledge. I love studying philosophy. It was my favorite class in college the college that I went to. I loved philosophy. I loved studying German when I took it. I loved English class. I loved learning about history. I loved learning about everything. And it baffled me that if I am an eternal seeker of knowledge and I love to learn and grow so much, how could I not stay in college? Well, it took me a while, but just as God is not confined to the pages of the Bible or to the walls of a church, knowledge and wisdom is not confined to college. Growth and learning and figuring out who you really are in studies, that is not confined to a university. I realized that I'm not a seeker of knowledge. That was a false identity that I had. I mistook my love of reading and writing and learning for a love of knowledge. But when it comes to talking about things that happened, the days that happened, how it happened, who was involved, like names, dates, places, events, what's going on here, who's saying what over there, how this civilization used to, do specific things, how the pyramids were built, what constellations mean what, all this kind of stuff, I keep hitting a wall where I feel like I desire to know everything. But then when I go to actually study it, I kind of just get really bored and I stop. And I always wonder, is it because I'm lazy? Is it because I don't want to know things? Is it like an attention disorder type situation? What is it? And I realized very recently, as I'm coming to know who I really am, not who I think I am. But I am not a seeker of knowledge. I'm a seeker of truth. And you don't need words to experience truth. You don't need to do anything specific or read anything specific or know how anything specific functions to know and experience truth. And I think that the importance of Easter is really summed up in these two cards. It's a holiday to get you to focus on love. Same with Christmas. It's kind of like I discovered that I could bypass all this bullshit and go straight for the good stuff, the real stuff. As interesting as it is to study comparative religion, to study all these philosophies and philosophical arguments, and study political systems and like all the different movements, like the movements for gender equality and everything. I see my mind. I sometimes feel like I can't possibly be a member of this generation because I'm not going to the protests. I'm not active in political things. I don't attach myself to any group or segment of people and like stand up for them. I'm not using my voice to speak out for something. And once again, as I, came to realize that I wasn't drawn to political events, I wasn't drawn to conversations where people were talking about stuff like this, I once again asked myself, what happened to me? I'm the person who in middle school would hand out slips of paper telling people to boycott KFC because of how they abuse their chickens in the slaughterhouse. I went around getting people to sign petitions against seal slaughtering. If there was a tree that was important, I would have been the person to like tie myself to it and like sing "Let My People Go" and all that kind of stuff. But I've found myself not drawn to it anymore. And I thought there was something wrong with me. And just as I learned I'm not a seeker of knowledge, I'm a seeker of truth, I also learned I'm not a protester and a fighter. I just want to speak for love. I want to say what love has to say. And it's not what people think it is. Love doesn't say, fuck Donald Trump. That's not love speaking. That's something else. Love doesn't say, screw the Republicans. Love doesn't say, anything. It doesn't speak. It doesn't have an agenda. It's not pushing for anything or resisting anything. Just as God just is, love just is. And that isness, that beingness, is the stillness and quiet I was talking about. I don't even know where to go from there, honestly. Well, happy Easter. Let's see what God has to say through this book. Just gonna open to a random page, point to random words, and but ask now the beasts, and they shall teach thee, and the fowls of the air, and they shall tell thee, or speak to the earth, and it shall teach thee, and the fishes of the sea shall declare unto thee. That's exactly what I was saying. God's in everything. That's why tarot and oracle cards and runestone readings work. That's why you can turn on the radio and feel like a song is telling you the next steps you should take in your life. That's why you cannot speak to someone for years, have them call you up, and that conversation you have with them changed your entire life, and you needed it more than anything. God is all pervasive and everywhere at all times. It's not some magical thing that I picked up this book, opened to a random page, pointed, and found a passage that perfectly encompasses this entire video and summarizes everything I just said. It's saying, ask the beasts and they'll tell you. Ask the birds in the air, they'll tell you. Speak to the earth, it'll teach you. The fishes of the sea shall declare unto thee. There's nothing that can't teach you what you need to learn. Nothing. There's no experience you could be going through that's not helping you learn and grow. There's no such thing as a wrong turn. Not in the grand scheme of things. Today's just a day. And God doesn't care what you did today. God doesn't care if you went to church, or if you painted and dyed eggs, or if you did meet up with your family, or you didn't meet up with your family. God doesn't care if you bought the Easter Reese's Cups instead of the regular Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. God doesn't even care that I made a video about Easter. All love cares about is love. However that is expressed, great. I guess this video, if I had to put it in a category, it's basically about releasing control and allowing things to flow. When you control how your life is supposed to go, you are seriously restricting it. When you plan out what you're supposed to say in a video and stick to it no matter what, you just probably screwed yourself over from saying and creating the most beautiful video. When you let your small perception of life and the world limit your beliefs and your ideas, and you hold tight to them for safety, and you don't allow them to change, You're in for such a small, limited, verdictless existence. I'm gonna also do the same thing with The Bridge Across Forever. It's a wonderful book. It's not the end of the world, Stan said quietly, even before I had settled in the chair on the other side of his desk. It's what we could call a bit of a reverse. And then just goes into talking about their situation. It's not the end of the world. It's what we could call a bit of a reverse. You've had some setbacks, temporary, I'm sure. You're having the longest string of losses I've ever charted. It can't go on like this forever, but for the time being, it's not the best. How could I lose more than I had? I think what I'm getting from that is no matter what situation you find yourself in right now, it's very easy to think of it as being negative based on that judgment that I was talking about. Your idea of what was supposed to happen, whether it be financially, whatever, like any situation you can think of, family get-together, a date, your studies. If things seem to be not going well, all that means is they're not going according to exactly how you thought they should and would go. And it's only your own perception and your judgment that you're placing on what's happening that makes it that way. And with that, I'm going to end the video because it's basically a movie at this point. But if you've watched this whole thing, I hope you really got something out of it. And if you'd like a personal reading or a coaching session, come to my website and I'd love to help you. Otherwise, stay tuned for the next video. And happy Easter.